Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Phoenix, Arizona, it's time for Phoenix Business Radio, spotlighting the city's best businesses and the people who lead them.
Hello and welcome to Phoenix Business Radio, broadcasting live from the Max 6 Conscious Workspace in Tempe, Arizona, where we help build businesses and connect you with the right people. I am very happy to introduce you to a portion of the Brown & Brown Insurance of Arizona team. We have with us Bari Levy, Business Development Specialist. Welcome to the studio, Bari.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
And we have you to thank for this opportunity.
Yes.
Yes. So you and I met through Kelly Lorenzen, who's a fellow Tempe Chamber member, and she suggested that we connect. And after we had a fun conversation via Zoom, like, everybody these days, I said, you've got to bring Scott with you and tell us your story and how you guys are serving your clients. So thank you so much for accepting the invitation.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I know Scott and I are very excited to be on the show today.
Yes. And with us via Zoom today is Scott Jones, and he's the president of Brown & Brown Insurance of Arizona. Welcome, Scott.
Hey, thank you. Nice to be here.
So I am very curious about what you do, the clients you serve, and really the backstory about your company and what makes you unique and different. So, Scott, would you mind starting for us? Just tell us a little bit about Brown & Brown itself, and then I would love to hear how you landed with the company. We do have an hour, so don't feel like you have to keep it short and sweet. We'll just roll from there.
Yeah. So Brown & Brown in itself, we're about a $2.5 billion company. So nationally, we're a public company. It's BRO on the stock market, on the exchange, and we're founded around 1939 and by the Powell family, and we have grown and acquired agencies and written insurance and helped a lot of customers along the way. And now we have a Phoenix office. In Phoenix, we've been here since, I'd say the early 90s, growing and working with businesses on their property and casualty insurance. That's liability, workers' comp, property, things of that nature. And then helping them with their home and auto as well, and their employee benefits. So the health insurance that companies might purchase for their employees. And we've been growing and thriving. We're 100 team members now here with risk managers and analytical folks on the benefits side. And we're just kind of growing and thriving, expanding. We love being part of Phoenix, and we love bringing on team members and growing careers and contributing to the community and doing all those things that a good company should. Yeah.
Great introduction. 5th largest brokerage firm in the nation. Is that right?
The 6th largest right now. We flop back and forth between 5th and 6th. And I can't tell you, I've been with the company 17 years. I can't tell you which year, what we are in a given year.
Yeah.
But we're top 6.
Well, that's impressive, right? Anything top 10 or top 20 is impressive. With 300 locations, and maybe it's even more than that now?
Yeah, so we're constantly growing. So I would say we're probably over 350 at this point.
Wow.
We've got more than 10,000 teammates across the country. One of the things that's really unique about us, or makes us kind of interesting as an entity, is that we're decentralized. So somebody who maybe looks at us from the outside and isn't too familiar with us might even think we're a franchise at times. The decisions in Arizona are made here. We get to, change the location of the office if we want. We get to add team members to our team. We get to add insurance companies or change our relationships with insurance companies and be part of the community locally. And so it's really neat that we have that flexibility and that we can operate within the community we are and run it like we really kind of run it like it's our company here in Arizona. And it's neat to be able to do that.
I have the same opportunity with Business RadioX. So our company has been around for 13 years, started off in Atlanta, Georgia, is where the home office is. And as a licensed partner, that's what we consider ourselves. We're not a franchise. We have a lot of autonomy and an opportunity to make decisions. So I can have multiple studios if I want. I can just stay with the one. If I want to try something new in broadcasting or podcasting or social media, whatever it is, I have that opportunity to do it. And I really like being being part of an organization that gives me that opportunity as a president and in my case, a business owner. So yeah, love that. And when Barry and I met and got to know each other, I really was thinking just because the warmth that you exuded and represented on behalf of the company, that y'all were very local and, very just specifically local. And it kind of goes to what you were saying just now, Scott, that's really who you are. You're part of our community, even though you've got this national or international, right, brand? Yeah, across the globe. You're right here for us.
Yeah. It's a wonderful thing to be able to do. And again, I mean, Barry can talk about some of the community things we get involved in and the nonprofits we work with, but it's great to be able to be local. We often call ourselves the best local agent nationwide. We have a national scope and strength. We have a tremendous amount of volume with insurance carriers or insurance companies to be able to leverage that for our customers and get them the best products available and pricing available. But we're able to do it locally. We're able to operate like a local firm and have that heart and that touch that really most anybody would want from a service perspective from a company they're working with. Yeah.
So good. And for those of you just listening to the audio portion of the podcast, we do have Scott via video, and he's got this great now I'm forgetting the name of it, treadmill behind him. I joked and I said, you ought to be running on that and doing the interview, we're getting your workout in at the same time. It's so funny how COVID, right, this quarantine, and how we're all just getting really flexible and used to the dog walking in and sitting on our lap, or the kid asking for us to, correct a word in our spelling test, that kind of thing. I really like the way that it's brought us all a little bit closer and has humanized us a bit. Barry, I would love for you to introduce yourself as well. How did you land here at Brown & Brown Insurance?
Sure. So again, my name is Bari Levy. I'm Business Development Specialist at Brown & Brown Insurance. And I have been there it'll be 4 years now, starting in January. So what I love most about Brown & Brown is, if I had to use one word to describe us, I would say culture. We're very, very big on culture, and I think that's why all of us get along as well as we do and work as well as we do together. So, little background on me. I'm originally from Florida, born and raised. My whole family is actually now out in Arizona, which is...
They followed you.
They did, yes, which I thought was a joke at first. But nope, they sure enough packed their bags and came out here. And now my sister and my mom and dad are in Tucson as well. So I've been in Arizona for 8 years. Played athletics my entire life since I was 10 years old, and just grew up, every sport you could possibly imagine I did. Volleyball, basketball, flag football, soccer, you name it, I did it. And then I actually played professionally overseas after college.
That's right.
I played basketball in college in Florida in West Palm Beach, and then ended up going overseas, played there for 2 years. And after that, I was trying to figure out my life and obviously knew that I needed a stable career. So I figured, why not insurance? And so I've been with insurance for almost 9 years now. I've been an insurance professional. And in this role that I have at Brown & Brown, I actually have the privilege to partner with all of the expert producers that we have within the agency. And, it's very nice to be able to use those resources and that knowledge that we have. And yeah, I absolutely love it. Again, it's going to be my 4th year coming up in January, and I think it's a great company to work for. We were certified for a great place to work. And
I was going to mention that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's exciting. And it's exciting to work with somebody like Scott. I mean, on a personal and work level, I'm always comfortable going to him and, sharing anything that I need to, and feel comfortable knowing that he's going to welcome me with open arms. So I'm excited to be here. And thank you again for having us. I'm very excited.
My pleasure. And I didn't realize that I should have the treadmill in here in the studio for Barry.
Yeah, apparently.
the athlete. Pardon me for not knowing that. I think I do remember you sharing that. So when you got in...
Wicked jump shot from Barry. Just wicked jump shot.
I have no doubt. And how tall did you say you were?
I am 5'10".
So we have the Zoom camera is a webcam on the large TV on the wall in the studio, and I have it set so it hits all the chairs. But when we turned it on today before you joined us, Scott, it was cutting Barry's head off. She's like, "Oh, sorry about that. I'm kind of tall."
Yeah, we might need to move that up a little bit.
Yeah, I got on my chair and adjusted it so we can see all of you today. Now, when you got into insurance, you said about 9 years ago, you started off as an agent then yourself?
So I started with Allstate actually, and I did mostly personal lines, some small commercial accounts, and then I always knew that I wanted to go work for a larger brokerage firm, and I actually got recruited for Brown & Brown. Ended up having my first interview with the marketing director over there, and about 5 minutes after I left, they called me and said, "Hey, we want you to come meet with the big boss. We like you. Come on in." And so I did. And I think Scott was pretty impressed after our interview because the question I asked him, he said, "You have any other questions for me?" And I said, "Yeah, when do I start?"
Oh, so that's the big boss you're talking about right up on the screen. Huh?
Yeah, it is. So I think he was kind of taken aback, but impressed at the same time that I was anxious and ready to get started. So
not a bad teammate, huh?
Yeah, no, it's been great. Barry's done a great job for us, and it's been fun to watch her grow in her career for sure.
Well, that says everything about the leadership, I think, Scott, that when people feel so comfortable to be able to say and share and challenge and celebrate, it makes for a good team for sure. Now, you mentioned that you knew you wanted to get insurance. Who knows that? Like, I don't know that somebody knows they're going to be a singer someday or, professional athlete. And I had no idea I'd be owning a radio studio. When you were a young girl, was there a career? Was it athletics for you? Did you think that'd be career?
I always wanted to be a veterinarian, actually, as I was growing up, which did not happen, obviously. But once I started doing sports, I was looking more towards being a sports agent. And then the opportunity just arose for me to go play overseas professionally. So I decided to do that for 2 years, came home in between summer, but it just wasn't enough money to support myself. I knew that I needed to find a stable career. And my sister, long story short, my sister was having car problems, and her agent at the time, actually, my dad was also there with her in Arizona. And he'll talk to anybody who wants to listen about his daughters. So he mentioned that, I was looking for a job and wasn't really sure what I was going to do after sports. And he said, "Well, why not insurance? She sounds like, she's a good communicator. I've learned a lot of skills, obviously being a professional athlete. So I thought, why not? I'll give it a shot."
Oh my gosh, I love hearing that. And what a chance of fate. And so when Barry pulled into the parking lot today, I'm walking outside to see if she's here yet because I need to make sure she get in without a key. And she's saying hello to the mail lady like they're longtime friends, and they really are. The lady, the UPS or USPS delivery mail woman, they're hugging each other. I'm like, what the heck? So you are that communicator. You are that friend worldwide.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I used to live right down the street off Priest and Broadway. And so, yes, she was my mail woman, and she knows more about my life than she probably should. So I was more than excited to see her. And as soon as I pulled up, I ran over and gave her a big hug.
Who pulls into town living, an hour away and knows the gal who's delivering mail to an office? I love it. But really, Scott, I'm sure you'll agree, and I've only known Barry for a short period of time. That's a perfect example of who she is, isn't it?
Yeah, that's spot on. Barry's just so easy to get along with and so comfortable to have a conversation with, and very open, to communicating with folks. So yeah, I'm sure Barry, you should know she's going to know 50% of the people that live in the city before it's long.
She already knows everybody in the Tempe Chamber, and you've only been a member for a short period of time. Scott, tell us about your background. Did you wake up when you were 4 or 5 and go, insurance, that's where I'm going?
No, I'm the typical insurance person that still doesn't know what they want to do for a living. I actually was an athlete as well, but I a little different sport. I was a gymnast. So I grew up in the Bermuda Triangle of the Southwest, and that I've lived in Denver, Phoenix, and Albuquerque for pretty much equal portions of my life. Yeah, it's my 3rd time in Phoenix, and really loved sports as a kid, kind of like Barry. And I played soccer and t-ball and all those things, and used to jump on the bed and try to do flips. And my parents eventually got me a trampoline and said that I had to do gymnastics. So I ended up doing gymnastics and competed in college. But I have a degree in exercise physiology of all degrees because I really, truly liked athletics and fitness, but I didn't know what I wanted to do for a living. So I kind of took to sales out of school. I had multiple careers in positions as anyone would out of college, and kind of took to sales. And I got recruited by a friend of mine that already worked at Brown & Brown. He now oversees our Orange, California office. And so really neat. And they brought me in, and I thought insurance was, maybe something you needed for your car. And then there was some life insurance or something that people had to get or wanted to get or whatever. I had no idea that it was such a vast industry and so necessary just to keep the wheels turning in business in general. And so Brown & Brown brought me in and taught me insurance, and I helped a lot of companies and grew my accounts and did really well. And they asked me, kind of tapped me on the shoulder and asked me to go to New Mexico and go from agent to manager and leader. And so I ran some offices for us in New Mexico and grew those. And then 4 years ago, they tapped me on the shoulder again and said, "Hey, come back home, come back to Phoenix, and we'd love to have you." And I said, well, sure, but I'm not moving again. My wife, she's done. She's ready to be somewhere for a really long time. So we're here. We're happy to be here.
You heard it here. We have the recording to prove it. So tell us, you mentioned, of course, culture is really the word that you would use to describe Brown & Brown. I'm sensing that, and I've met, of course, other insurance representatives, and it feels to me that folks who are insurance are lifelong learners. They love to learn. They love to have a goal. They love sharing and communicating. What else would you say would sum up a career in insurance, but also with Brown & Brown specifically?
For me, it's just about, being genuine and actually caring and giving a crap. I think that goes a long way. And it's a part of our job to protect these business owners. They're not insurance. That's what we get paid to do. So, we want to be that professional for them and make sure that they are sleeping better at night, knowing that they are covered. And in case they have a claim situation, that's the reason that they purchase insurance in the first place, is to make sure that they have their coverages in place and they're protected the correct way. And I think our process is definitely different, and I stand by all of our products that we have. And, I think that just goes to show that comes off when I'm speaking to somebody. It goes a long way. There's a lot of people, unfortunately, that can be unethical and try and sell you up. And I feel like at Brown & Brown, we don't try to do that. We just want to make sure that everything you have now is correct. And like I said, it shows in being able to sell business and just having that long-standing relationship with clients.
Scott, anything to add? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say there's a lot of things that make up any culture, right? And it's always hard to say any one thing. But caring is definitely a big deal. And Barry's heard me say this before about people that were talking about working for us. That's important to me. They got to have a piece of them that convinces me that they care. In the office, we use a secret word for that that probably can't repeat on the radio, but they really have to care about, be genuine about other people. And it is, I love that you said that. It is a lifelong kind of learning process because insurance is language on paper and contracts, and those contracts change and laws change those contracts. And, things like terrorism that was covered at one time got excluded and then it had to get added back in. And how do we do that? And so it's always kind of an interesting thing. But I guess I really enjoy learning about companies. If you do it right and you visit with the right companies, it's kind of like watching that show How It's Made all the time. Oh, how do you do that? There's companies do the coolest things and most unique things, that are so fun to learn about, and just to learn about people in general is nice as well. And that's definitely, that curiosity is definitely part of our culture. And then for me, I guess I just really like watching people grow in their career, and maybe that's why I like the position I'm in. It's insurance is such an opportunity for folks like me who don't know what they want to do necessarily, but it's really a career opportunity for a lot of great people out there because it's such a broad industry. It's a graying industry, and so it's a chance to get into an industry where a lot of folks are actually retiring out, and we need more people in it. And so it's just a nice opportunity all in all. If you in our company, probably the biggest part of our culture is the meritocracy piece, where if you work hard, you're going to be rewarded. So it's not about your last name. It's not about who do you know. It's none of those things. It's just hard work and effort and talent and doing the right thing. That gets rewarded. And it's nice to see that. It's fun to see that where, again, it's not political. It's just about getting the job done. So it's kind of neat.
Love it. You mentioned early in our conversation, Scott, a little bit about the charitable opportunities, give back opportunities that you guys have been focusing on. Can you tell us, either one of you, a little bit about who you're aligned with and how you're supporting them?
Sure. Well, I know off the top of my head, St. Mary's Food Bank is one. We actually hosted a couple drive-ins because of what's going on, obviously, with COVID. So we had about 6 trucks parked in different areas around Maricopa. And we had whoever lived the closest would go there, drop off food. And it was such a success the first time we did it. We actually ended up having a second one where we invited more people to come. And it was, I think what did we raise, Scott? Over 5?
Yeah, I think in total, because we even did another drive, in total, we're probably over about $40,000 for the year.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was kind of fun because we were in the middle of COVID and we didn't know how to do everything socially distant and safe. So we called it Fill the Truck. Mm-hmm. And we parked 6 trucks and people would just come in, bring their food, put it in the back of the pickup truck and walk away. And nobody had to touch anybody. Nobody had to touch anything. And they were still able to help St. Mary's. And they need it. They really need it. It is. COVID has not made things any easier on folks, and they're having from what I understand, a tough year.
For sure.
So support that cause.
And I would imagine some of the businesses and families that you represent, not only just the employee pool, but also your clients. We've all been impacted and affected in some way. And if it's not us directly, we know somebody that it's changed the very livelihood of how they show up and, quite honestly, maybe where they're headed in the future. So on that note, when it comes to insurance and some of the products and services that you guys have, what kinds of questions that are okay to share in this conversation today have you heard from business owners that either might have surprised you or that you were armed and ready for, but you didn't realize how many people would be asking? As it relates to policies, or did anything change for business owners? You mentioned terrorism, which is a separate conversation, at least in my opinion, but what have you witnessed has changed for folks?
Yeah, a lot. It's funny. I've always thought about having Karen, I've always thought about having a YouTube video called "Your Agent Said What?" because insurance, we speak our own language and it can be very confusing. I think if we just talk like humans, we might be out of a job. There's a lot of conversation and around cyber liability, and agents have been talking to customers or business owners and individuals about it for a long time now, actually for multiple years, but it never really made any sense to, what do I really need cyber liability? So that's to protect a company or an individual should they get hacked on the internet, or something called social engineering, where we've all had that weird person from some foreign bank tell us that we have some relative with $10 million in the bank and we just need to send our social security number to them and they'll pull it out for us. But the reality is it's really ticked up, and COVID has really piled that on. And so regular mom and pop companies, regular, average companies you wouldn't think would ever have this issue of somebody thinking about hacking their system or getting held for ransom for to the tune of, I need $50,000 to give you your computer back, up to, millions, depending on the size of the company and what they think they can get from them. And cyber liability insurance is something that it's easy for me to say this because I'm in the insurance business, but I think most every business needs it. If you have vehicles, you need auto insurance. If you have computers, you probably need to think about cyber liability. And it's not been a coverage in any insurance 10 years ago. It really wasn't out there. And so it's unique. It's very wonky. There's no one form or one insurance company that does it the same as the other. And so it's kind of in its infancy for insurance, really. But it's still very necessary. We get a lot of questions about that right now.
I didn't even know it was a thing. Didn't even know that was an option, but it sure makes sense. Cyber crimes have gone up substantially, both impacting, of course, businesses, organizations, and institutes, but also individuals. It's fascinating how easily it is, if you're unprotected, how you can get taken advantage of. Anything that you would add to what Scott just shared?
Just to add, usually there is a small throw-in on their current policy, but in order to have the correct coverage in place, there's usually, $100,000 goes like this, especially in a cyber claim event. So in order to protect yourself correctly, you should really get a separate policy with those $1 million limits like you would anything else, especially, like you said, with the rise of the claims that we see. It's substantial right now, and definitely a topic of subject with coronavirus and everything. So yeah, absolutely. I think it's very important.
Tell us about your role as the business development specialist. How do you show up in this space, and how are you supporting agents and their clients?
So I have the luxury and privilege to partner with other producers within the agency. I am an licensed insurance professional myself, so constantly learning. But for me, it's all about bringing in as much opportunity as I can to the agency, which is obviously a big part of it. In regards to whether it be, like you said, we are a full service agency. So whether it be your commercial policies, workers' comp, general liability, commercial vehicles, things of that nature, or on the benefit side, if they're offering health insurance to their employees. I'm a generalist. So I am calling, hitting the phones very hard. I'm one of those weirdos that actually does enjoy cold calling. So I'm just trying to bring in as much as I can. And now I'm able to have the opportunity to go after, those larger companies and partner with an expert in those fields, which is a huge opportunity for Brown & Brown as well, so that I can bring in as much as I can to the agency. And I love it. It's what I'm good at. It's what I'm talented at. And it feels good to be able to not only succeed myself. I'm the type of person that if I'm not successful myself, I feel like the others around me can't be as successful as they should be. And, my whole time at Brown & Brown, I've always had someone to mentor me and build me up and bring me to where I am today. So I like to be that person to pay it back and give back to everyone else in the office. And when I succeed, if they're succeeding, Brown & Brown as a whole is succeeding. So it's a win-win-win.
Cold calling, obviously, as an insurance what'd you say, a partner?
Professional.
Yeah, sure. Cold calling, that's part of why I opened Phoenix Business RadioX, because as a coach, a business coach and strategist, I love working with individual once I get to know them and that portion of getting to know them. But to pick up that phone or to stand in a networking meeting and have to, give my little spiel, and that's no, thank you. So I love when I meet people like yourself who's like, oh, that's not a problem. I could do it in my sleep. It's fabulous.
Yeah. Something very impressive about Larry is the amount of courage he has. To make calls like that takes a lot of courage, and even to go to the Tempe Chamber and network and put yourself out there and meet people. And Barry is not afraid to talk to anyone, which is a talent. But I think it takes courage, and so that's something that I'm proud of her for, and that I'm sure that she's proud of herself for. But yeah, cold calling takes its fun, that's for sure.
My son, go
she's
ahead.
good at it, and the idea is just to let folks know who we are and get that opportunity to meet with them and see if we can help them. And often we can. We have something to offer from a service or a product that really is something maybe they need as a business, be it on their employee benefit side or on the property and casualty side. So, yeah.
Share with us what's the right size company or the right vertical or industry? I mean, talk a little bit about, for our listeners, if they're thinking, gosh, I really need to start a conversation with somebody within Brown & Brown. Who are you a best fit for, or does it vary?
Yeah. Did it go Barry or yeah. Yeah. So what's really cool about us in the last few years, we've become a fit for a broader range of companies. And, if you ask somebody who's an investor in Brown & Brown, they would say that we're a middle market agency. And what that means is middle market companies, right? And so we generally, our sweet spot locally here in Phoenix is to deal with companies somewhere between, I'd say, that pay somewhere between $50,000 in premium up to about $1 million, right? And that's a real strong presence for us. But we actually have a division that'll work with companies that pay less premium, and we're able to help them as well. And then we now have added expertise in Hayes, and so we have a benefits division where we merged and acquired a company called Hayes that has expertise in the thousands of lives in a company. So we can work with a 10,000 life company now at this point with the Hayes team. They do some really impressive things when it comes to analytics and underwriting in-house that's really neat. And then if we get one that's on the property and casualty side, and it's like a company the size of Marriott or Whirlpool or some of those very, very big public companies, we actually have an entity called Beecher Carlson that our office will tap into, and that's their world, and they work with companies that big. But our sweet spot here in Arizona is in that middle market company. That's where we have our best products, services, and our best company, insurance company leverage, if you will. Yeah.
And Arizona's a hot spot for those middle lane companies, right? Barry, you alluded to this earlier. You were saying that when you're in your role and you're representing or looking to find out what the needs are for a company, you have experts that you can tap into. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So part of my role is once I bring in the new business to the agency, I'm able to partner with the different producers that we have. So we have about 10 to 15 P&C producers, which is our property and casualty. So they do the liability, workers' comp, commercial vehicles, things of that nature. And I also am able to partner on the benefit side as well with a couple producers that we have there. They're all experts in their field. But the nice thing about it is I'm really good at matching personalities. So for me, on that first discussion and that first appointment, I'm trying to get, as much information out of them to make sure that I'm partnering with a producer that's going to meet all of their needs. So we have a lot of different personalities within our agency and a lot of different producers that specifically work with a particular industry and have been for years and years and years and 30 plus years. So it's really nice for me to actually pick and choose which producer that I think will be the best account. And, we follow it through. We make sure that if there's a problem or any pain points that they have, we're there to solve them for them. Again, as I mentioned before, I stand by our products, and I think we do have something different than a lot of agencies do, and we do have a particular secret sauce about us. So I'm just excited to work with more people and help them where they need help. So, and that's truly what I do it for. I mean, this is my passion, and I genuinely care and want to help people. So.
And again, that's the benefit of having this large company. That you've got the support and the expertise in any direction.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We mentioned that you're a member of the Tempe Chamber on behalf of Brown & Brown Insurance of Arizona. Scott, what do you involve yourself in? I already know the answer because I'm looking at the notes, but I would love for you to share. So I think you're serving as a president and an advisory board member for a couple of organizations.
Yeah, so I'm currently the president of an association called the IICF, which is the Insurance Industry Charitable Foundation. And like an example of where IICF can have an impact is that fill the truck drive. So one of the things we did was, so the IICF is comprised of other agents and other agencies, so folks that are in the same industry and often competitors, and including the insurance companies that we do business with on behalf of our customers. So it's neat to see the folks in our industry sometimes come together, although we're competing, And so we tapped into the IICF, and a lot of those folks came out and brought food. So it's really neat. So I'm currently sitting as the president of that. And then I sit on the board of an association called YPO, which is called Young Presidents Organization, which is comprised of CEOs and business owners and the like for folks that are under 50. And so it's a really nice membership to be part of. Right now I'm involved in those, as well as, all the stuff with my kids' school and all those things that go along with the HOA and all that.
Yeah, good. And besides the chamber, have you been busy with something else recently, or want to speak to something you've been involved in the past?
So Brown & Brown is actually a member of the ASA as well, American Subcontractors Association. So I've been a part of that. And I also joined about 5 months ago the AWCI, which is Arizona Walls and Ceilings Association. So mostly,
of course you did.
Yeah. So I'm actually playing in a golf tournament tomorrow for that association, which I'm very excited about. But yeah, I mean, I'm heavily involved in the community. Obviously, I met you through Tempe Chamber, and networking is a huge part of what I do as well. Aside from just cold calling, there's more to my job than just cold calling. But no, I love to network as well. So those are the other associations. And I did speak to the president of Future for Kids, which I'm hoping to join. Just depending, obviously, this year has been a little bit different. Yeah. So, but possibly going to be joining that in the future as well.
Wonderful. What's the greatest compliment that you would like to hear from a client? When do you know it's been a win of a week or win of a day? Either of you.
I love that question. There's so many occasions when they just really need their insurance, right? And I remember one time when this was a few years ago, I had a customer that works on heavy equipment. And so they're, kind of like an auto shop, but for heavy equipment like backhoes and items of that nature. And they own a building. And we took the account over, and I told them and we talked about their needs from a coverage perspective on the building. And then more importantly, something called a loss of income. And that's, if your building burns down, you can't make an income until your business is running again. And they really didn't have the right limit and needed more. And so we talked, and I actually had to do some convincing in this one and saying, look, you really, really need, I know it costs a lot. we got to get this in place. It's super important. And unfortunately, they did have a fire and the building did burn down. But fortunately, it paid the loss of income. The building was covered at the right limit. And so they were able to maneuver into a new space, keep their business moving forward and continue to. And so the compliment was, boy, I am so glad you were such a stickler about making me buy that insurance. And so I feel like it's a compliment. It went pretty well. Yeah. So
and there's that beautiful combination between education, right? This is why you need this,
yeah.
right? And here's the numbers and why I'm basing it off of, for your benefit. And insurance is that funny thing. We don't need it till we need it. But if we don't have it and we need it, we're screwed, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. What about you? What would be a great compliment for you?
I would say kind of along those same lines in regards to claim situations when clients, maybe don't know that they even have the coverage, but we were smart enough to put it in place for them. And once they have a claim situation and, we get the thanks like, I didn't even know I had this coverage, but that's what that is. Okay, that's good to know. So again, you don't know what you don't know, but that's why you do have an insurance specialist to kind of guide you through that and make sure that we're doing our jobs properly as well. And thank yous too. Thank yous go a long way for me. Being there also for my clients, and everyone, prospects. Even the team, especially during these unprecedented times, I feel like everyone needs somebody. So just making sure that we're checking in and to get that care in return, that we're there for them. And that's what we want them to know. So I think that's important.
Yeah. We're rounding out towards the end of our segment. I just have a couple last questions. You mentioned the blessing of having been mentored so well at your time in Brown & Brown. I would love to ask both of you, is there somebody that you've looked up to either in the industry or just even in your life, somebody you know or someone, a book that you've read or something? Where have you drawn inspiration or who have you drawn inspiration from over the course of your professional life?
Sure. So I will actually give a shout out to one of the producers in the agency, Wayne Hubbard. I was actually designated two mentors when I started as a producer in training at Brown & Brown, and that was Wayne Hubbard and Dwayne Reed. And what I really like about Wayne is every time I would go to him, it was about learning something new. He would never give me the answer. It was always like, well, how do you think about this? Or what do you feel about this? And for me, that's how I learned. And I really appreciate them. Everyone at Brown & Brown is great. Like, there's not one person that I couldn't walk into their office or call them on the phone and say, hey, I have a question about this. And they would welcome me with open arms. No question was a dumb question. And they just really made me feel welcome. We truly are a family over there. And if I had to name one person, I would say Wayne Hubbard.
Yeah. Shout out to Wayne. How about you, Scott?
Yeah, it's the word culture comes back up in this because so what I probably didn't allude to is that I started my insurance career in Phoenix in this office.
Oh, wow.
And so when I started, there were probably a handful of agents, and I wore the carpet out with them, and just, hey, what about this? What about this? What about this? And just constantly asking questions. And so there's a handful of those folks that really helped bring me up in the business and taught me a lot. And that's part of our culture. When folks ask, we love to bring folks in, teach them the insurance business and give them a career with us and help them really be something in the insurance business at Brown & Brown. And so we retain that to this day. People ask, I'd say we're a little like a teaching hospital in some cases, in that we really work together and collaborate on accounts and work as a team. And when there's a new producer, there's a seasoned producer right next to them, helping them along and mentoring them and working with them. And so from a business perspective, I would say it's those folks that I kind of grew up learning from. And so Barry would know some of them. Dwayne Reed is one of them. A guy named Dave Smith, who just retired with us. There's a guy named Bob Shanahan that I learned a lot from, and who also has retired, and Bob Phillips, who's also retired. So they've all had great careers at Brown and Brown and retired, I guess, with the exception of Dwayne, who is just a pleasure for me to work with because he's the guy who helped teach me the business, right? So really neat for me. Personally, it's got to be my grandparents. You know, like my grandparents have these, it should be put into a presentation, but it never was. And they have these rules, these little things that I learned growing up. Like when it comes to fishing, my grandma would always say, if you catch them, you clean them. And, you know, and to me, that means you don't get to have all the fun to do it without and get out of the work it involves to have that fun, right? So you can't just drop things on somebody's desk and then walk away and give them something hard to work on. So it was always leave it. The other lesson was leave it better than you found it. These are things we probably all heard growing up, but leave it better than you found it. I learned that when we borrowed my parents borrowed the RV for a family vacation and then dumped it off in the backyard. And we all had to come back for a long day of cleaning the RV. But that's important, you know, as you're mentoring folks and leave it as you found it means a little bit, you got to give back. You can't just take. And that's part of our culture of mentoring and teaching those that we work with. And I could go on for a while, but those are anyway, it's my grandparents.
I love it. Great story. And I reached it over to my bookshelf. And again, for those of you on video, you can see this, but audio, I'm holding a regular size paperback book, and then I'm holding up a smaller book. This is called a mini book. And the folks who create mini books are right here in Arizona. But this is a book that my son and I created when he turned 10. And all the little sayings that he had been saying, similar to what, you know, your grandparents had shared with you, that from the time he could talk at 2 up until his 10 years, I was putting out on Facebook and sharing, and people love them. And they kept saying, you need to write a book, you need to write a book. Well, I didn't have enough content for a big, meaty product. So I said to him, I want to do this book, and I'm going to take all the little quotes and great things that you've shared, and we're going to donate a portion of proceeds to a charity of your choice. And we chose Scott Foundation, which serves foster kids here in Arizona who are phasing out and aging out of the system because they're often, an underserved population of kids. So shout out to Scott Foundation. But I can't help but think, you've got a book in you, Scott. I think you ought to do a little mini book.
Yeah, I like that. That's inspiring. Yeah, I want to see yours. Yeah.
I will send it. We've got a coffee mug for both of you, and I'll put Ivan's book in there for you guys as well, and I'll let Barry get that to you. This has been a lot of fun to get to know you both, and Brown & Brown Insurance of Arizona. We will likely have two kinds of listeners, right? A business owner and an executive leader for a company, a C-suite executive who really would like to have a conversation with you. How do they get in touch with you? And then I know you're growing, but are you looking for more representatives? And if somebody's looking for an opportunity to talk about what their next career might be, and should it be insurance, how do they get in touch with you for that? So either one of you for both those questions.
Yeah, Barry, go ahead and tell them how they can get in touch with you.
Okay, so I am on a lot of avenues of social media. LinkedIn is one of them. Bari Levy is Bari, last name Levy, Levy. I'm also on Facebook or Instagram. It's pretty easy. My phone number is 602-664-7078, or you can shoot me an email at blevy, that's B as in boy, L-E-V as in Victor, Y, at B as in boy, Phoenix.com.
And they could definitely reach out to Barry. And we're always looking for talent. And so, looking into 2021, we'll be looking to add more agents to the team. And so for somebody who I actually think that there's probably room for, believe it or not, I have this little theory, Karen, that teachers could do this job pretty well because we teach a lot of insurance.
Sure.
And so we're looking for folks that are looking for a long-term career that are interested a bit in sales and relationship building and are really have a heart for constantly learning. As you said, it's interesting you brought that up. So but we are looking for folks on the team. And so they can reach out to me directly. Same avenue. LinkedIn's great. You can email me at sjones, at bbphoenix.com. So yes, I appreciate you asking.
Absolutely. And it's, again, B as in boy, Phoenix, spelled out.com for the website.
Correct.
Yes. Wow. I hope you had fun talking and visiting today.
Yes, and one more quick comment, just because if I am shouting out to a personal,
yes, you're welcome
for my mentor, I would say my parents, Ira and Robin Levy. They've been there for me, supported me throughout all of my years, and I wouldn't be where I am without them. So thank you guys. I love you guys so much.
Shout out to mom and dad.
Woo!
Yes, yeah, that's very, very important to do that. Of course, folks who help shape our life. And for us to look back and have those stories and those little antidotes that were shared with us all these years helps us become great people. Well, thank you again. You've been listening to Phoenix Business Radio, broadcasting live from the Max 6 Conscious Workspace right here in Tempe, Arizona. Some media leans left, some lean right, and we lean business. Until next time, I'm Karen Nowicki. Thanks for listening.